G'day, I'm Tamar from Oz Survival in Smoky, Australia, and you are watching IntenseAngler's Tip of the Week.
Fire starters or other accelerants. These things can be an absolute asset to you under certain circumstances, especially adverse conditions. Now there are a myriad of fire starters out there, everything from the synthetics such as Vaseline soaked cotton balls to dryer lint to the synthetics that they sell in stores such as wet fire, things like that. There's also the natural materials you can find such as birch bark, certain types of funguses, and my personal favorite, Fatwood. Also known as greasewood, heartwood. There's a lot of different names for this stuff, but it's one of my personal favorites. Problem is, this stuff can be a little bit difficult to find sometimes. And so what I'm going to do today is show you guys kind of how to do a hybrid between a synthetic and a natural material. We're actually going to be using all natural materials, but basically what we're going to be doing is show you how to make your own Fatwood if you cannot find any. Now, one of the things about Fatwood, and the reason that it makes such a great fire starting material, is that it is just absolutely saturated, impregnated with pine resin. Really flammable, basically waterproof, burns forever, just a really great all-around fire starter. And I've got a couple shavings here. Let me just kind of show you what I'm talking about as we start this process here. You can see that this gets going right away. It's putting off a little bit of black smoke, which is actually showing the oils in it. We just put a few shavings on there. Now this stuff, you can see, takes a flame really quickly and will burn for quite some time. So really, really great to get a fire going, like I said, as an accelerant. And just go to the little bit bigger pieces. And these things will, like I said, just absolutely burn forever. Enough to get our wood going. And we've got some little sticks that we found around here, and these have been laying on the ground. Now these are, it's been raining for a couple days, so these are really wet, a lot of moisture content in these. And that Fatwood's going to burn hot enough and long enough to allow these to kind of dry out and get us a nice fire going under here. Now, as we let our fire over here get going down to a nice bed of coals, I actually want to explain a little bit about what we're going to be doing here. Now, first of all, I wanted to show you guys the difference between the Fatwood, which is this darker wood here, and a chunk of wood that we took off this dried just piece of firewood that we found out here. Now, as you'll notice right off the bat, the wood that we took off this stump is really light in color, really dry, not a lot of resin in it. While the Fatwood, on the other hand, is a much darker color. It's much richer looking. You can actually see the resins inside of it. If we can get a close-up here, you can just absolutely see the difference in these two woods here. And so what we're going to be doing is making our own Fatwood, essentially. And to get this started, we're going to kind of shave this down into more manageable pieces here we're going to be working with. So go ahead and just kind of take that down. Stick these off to the side as we go here. Alright, so we've got a few little pieces of our wood cut down to size here. Just some nice little slivers of wood here. And we've taken that, of course, off of our piece of wood here. We're going to set that aside now. I've cut these down into pieces that are going to be able to fit into just a basic Altoids tin. Now you can use any type of metal container that you want for this. I use the Altoids tin, and I'll kind of explain that in a minute why. Next thing you're going to need is another natural material, and these are just pine resin nodules. Now you'll find these on virtually any pine tree. Any area where a branch has been broken off or a wound has been, that has happened to the tree where it's been gouged, something like that. Just a readily available material out there, just these pine nodules. So we're going to go ahead and put a few of them into this Altoids container. And get this ready to go on our little bed of coals over there. Kind of get this melted down into a nice workable material, and we'll go on to the next step from there. Now, as you can see, we've got our little fire burned down to a nice little bed of coals here. We've still got a little bit of flame going, which is actually going to help us. And I've also got these two little green logs that I've put parallel to the fire here, and that's actually going to act as a holder for our little Altoids tin here. So we're going to go ahead and let this kind of melt down a little bit into a liquid and proceed from there. Now, as you can see, we have this pine pitch rendered down into a nice liquid form. And so the next step is we're going to take our little pieces of wood, our little dry shavings here. You see this stuff actually combusts, which we'll fix that up in just a minute here. You don't want to make sure your sticks fit in there. Get these nice and saturated. And just stick just a few of these in here for now. Get those nice and saturated in there. Then we're going to go ahead and close the lid, get that flame out. And at this point, we can actually scoot this back off of the fire just a little bit. We don't need quite as much heat anymore, just enough to keep that resin from warming back up to the flash point. Now, as you can see, we've actually removed the container from near the fire, and I don't know if you can see in there, but we have got this absolutely saturated wood in here. All of this wood now, it's been sitting in here about 10-15 minutes, and near the fire, not over direct heat, but near enough to the fire to keep that resin nice and liquid form, and actually allowing it to boil somewhat into the wood that we've placed in here, just the wood that we've shaved off of this log here. So now we'll just go ahead and remove this from the container and actually just set it out to dry, which goes relatively quick here. And once this is dry, we'll show you just how effective this is as a fire starter. Alright, well, our wood pieces are nice and dry now, and you can actually see they look a little bit wet still. They're really nice and shiny. That's actually the coating, the resin dried on there, and that actually acts as an amazing waterproofer. So these are going to be just excellent fire starters because they are saturated with resin now, as well as waterproof. So these are going to work really well for you. In fact, let's demonstrate that really quick by getting a little fire going here. Alright guys, well, as you can see, the fire starter worked, no problems there. Me and my buddy here got a nice fire going, so we're happy. And like I said, sometimes fatwood can be rather hard to find, and this is just a way to utilize natural materials to make a good all-around waterproof fire starter that's going to come in handy for you under adverse conditions, as I mentioned. Now, before we go here, I do want to take a second to thank a good friend of mine, Tamar over at Awe Survival, for taking the time to film the intro for this week's tip of the week. Really appreciate that, my friend. Highly recommend you guys going and checking out Tamar's channel. I've been a follower of hers pretty much since I started here on YouTube. She does some really good stuff over there, a lot of fun to watch. Just been a good friend the whole time I've been here on YouTube, so highly recommend her channel. Now, as far as the rest of you guys go, Just want to say thanks a lot for the continued support, all the encouragement that you extend my way. Truly do appreciate it, guys. And until next time, just want to say thanks a lot. You guys take the best of care, and we will be seeing you soon.